The following podcast is part of the MindBodySpirit.fm podcast network.
Expedia and Visit Scotland invite you to come step into centuries of history that await in Scotland. Castles steeped in legend, walk along cobblestone streets. Come share the warmth of stories passed down through generations. This is a place with a past that is fully present today and all yours to explore. Plan your Scottish escape today at expedia.com/Visit Scotland.
This spring, Uber Eats has you covered. Whether you're celebrating mom, dad, or your favorite grad, not all of us are great planners, and with the Uber Eats gift hub, you don't have to be. Send flowers, perfume, champagne, or just their favorite meal straight to their door. Gifts arrive in as little as 25 minutes, and you can add a personalized video message for that additional so-not-last-minute touch. So this spring, get a leg up on gift giving with Uber Eats. Last-minute gifts that land every time. Must be 21 or older to purchase alcohol. Product availability varies per region. See app for details.
Hi, I'm Lindsay, host of the Live Like Eden podcast. What do you do when your whole life flips upside down? Are you questioning everything, lost in chaos, or yearning for life's deeper meaning? I've been there, deep in the thick of it, unraveling my own awakening mess for over 20 years. Now I'm here to help you through yours. I share no-nonsense weekly wake-ups, cutting through the ego's illusions to wake you up to your own spiritual wisdom. No mountaintop bliss needed here, just practical tools, insights, and real-life experience to save you time. Plus, a much-needed laugh when we're all losing it. Let's dive into this fresh new episode. Today, I am joined by Dr. Susanne T. Eden. She is here to share her personal story of healing and the power of personal transformation in her latest book, Healing from the Inside, Living Fully as You Age. Now at the age of 87, Susanne is inspiring others to approach the gift of aging with optimism and purpose, and she's here to share with us how to do that. Dr. Eden spent her career providing leadership to educators across Canada as a teacher, author, consultant, and staff developer. Among her achievements, she is a past president of the Canadian Association for Young Children and past chair of the Board of Governors at Seneca College in Toronto, Ontario. I will link all of Susanne's information in the show notes for you. You can read her articles, blog posts, podcasts, and find out where to purchase her book at SusanneEden.com. I hope you enjoy our discussion today, and I will be back with you all next week. Welcome back to another episode, everybody. I'm thrilled to be sitting here with Dr. Susanne T. Eden. Thank you so much for joining me today, Susanne. I'm really looking forward to our chat today.
Well, thank you for having me, Lindsay. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to your audience and to have a conversation with you about a topic on which I'm very passionate.
Well, I'm excited to have you on, and I'm having you on because you wrote a book recently, Susanne. This is amazing.
Yes.
At the ripe young age of 87, right?
It isn't my first book, but it is the first book on this topic. My earlier publications were all were educational. That was my background, my career.
So writing books is not new to you, but this topic certainly is. And your title is Healing from the Inside, Living Fully as You Are.
As you age.
As you age, that's right. That probably had something to do with my eyes there, Susanne.
That's okay. That's okay.
I was just telling Susanne about my eye trouble, but anyway, we're going to keep going here. Let's get started, as I always love to do when I have guests on, is talk about personal transformation. And I would love for you to share your story, Susanne. You had some healing in your life that you were invited to, right? In your midlife, you had chronic illness, and as you wrote about in your book. But I would love to hear it from you and your personal story about what that was like to you and how it inspired you to write this book. So maybe you can just share that, and then we'll go from there.
As I said to you in our pre-conversation, Lindsay, it took me a whole book to tell that story. So just tell it in a few sentences is hard. But to me, transformation and the healing journey is what I call in my book an odyssey in search of self. And I'm not entirely sure of why I went in that direction, but just in a short version of it, all of my life, I had felt inadequate no matter how much success I had, and I had very successful career in my educational career. I never felt that deep sense of worth or that I mattered. And I often, when I looked back, too often, my choices were made not because of what I knew within me or what I wanted within me, but because of what other people thought of me and expected of me. And that is the most damaging emotional landscape, if you will, that we can carry as adults, because it prevents us from becoming who we were meant to be. And whether we call it our best self, our authentic self, does not matter to me. What it is the essential self, who we were intended to be. Why was I given this kit, if you will, of gifts and talents, experiences, and you were given an entirely different ones. What were you meant to do? What was I meant to do with this? And it's a conversation we rarely have. Certainly, we almost never have it with other people. And for many people, they never have it with themselves. And until we interrogate ourselves and look inward, we never know who we truly are. And that's what I call the journey of healing, is finding the true self within. And again, your work is focused very much on spirituality. And I did share a little bit of this with you, that when I began to write this book, I steered away from spirituality. I talked about mind-body connection, and that is everywhere now. It wasn't when I started out, but it is now. But very rarely do the people who focus on mind and body ever use the word spirituality.
You're right.
And it's because as a society, I think many of us, including myself for a very long time, associated that with religion. And for me personally, religion had gutted me when I really experienced the misogyny, the ripping open, if you will, of what I had thought and expected of religion and what it really was for me.
Yeah.
So that's where my journey started. What happened, as I believe, as a result of all of that misalignment between what I knew I needed to be and wanted to be and what I was doing and who I was, resulted in physical illness. And I really do believe that physical illness begins in the mind. And I don't just say we just will ourselves to be sick, but it's a very complex thing and something I am still learning and very much at the introduction of, and still learning a lot more about. But what I began to do was look inside myself. And the more that I was doing that and looking at ways, I started with wanting to feel better physically.
Right.
I mean, I was at a point where I could hardly get out of a chair, okay? And all the dreams I had for retirement were thrown out the window because I could no longer do them.
So, Susanne, let me ask you real quick. How old were you when your health took a turn? And tell us what happened.
My mid-50s, I was at the university, and I was, as I've always done, going off in all directions. I always say if I wrote my biography, it would be called Madly Off in All Directions. I've always been interested in so many things and had more ideas than 10 people should ever have, and trying to do them all. And suddenly I frame it in my book as suddenly my body said, stop it. And I got diabetes. I got something called polymyalgia rheumatica, which is not the same as fibromyalgia, but it is a multiple myalgia that went all through my body,
Hmm.
and that I still grapple with all these many years later. And that was in my mid 50s. By the time I was 60, then I had been, I don't want to go into a lot of details on this because it takes too long, but I was on medication that was destroying me. It was not helping me, and I knew that. And as I say, I could hardly get out of a chair. So I took early retirement to focus on my physical health.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started on that, and for a very long time, as my generation did, we looked on the doctor as having the answers, and whatever they told us, we did. And you took the medication. You didn't know. I didn't know at that time as a diabetic that the worst medication a diabetic can take is prednisone. It literally destroys your endocrine system. Eventually, out of frustration, I thought, this is nuts. I cannot continue. I'm getting worse and worse. And the doctors told me I had very good top specialists, but they told me if I came off prednisone, I would die.
Can I ask you, were you on prednisone for a long time? Did they? Because I know
10 years, over 10 years.
Wow, because they don't do that anymore.
They
right?
would not do it now. But at that time, that was what they did. And they told me I couldn't get off it. I got off it myself. I won't go into the details. If you're interested, it's in my book. It was brutal. And I didn't know, honestly, whether I would survive it. It took me over a year. Anyway, then I began to look into other alternatives to the fractured medical system we have, which only looks at the body, and began to look for things that were holistic. And I got into energy healing. And very important was when I really discovered the power of breath to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I began to look at, of course, lifestyle and all those things. And this is when I began to go inside myself. So I had many twists and turns. There was very little. There was a lot of stuff, even at that time, being written about mind and body. But nothing, everything that I was looking at would take one piece of that puzzle. I wasn't finding anything that brought it together. And now in retrospect, as a metaphor, I often think of my journey of healing as a jigsaw puzzle, where I would find a piece here and it would fit, and a piece here and it would fit. But where was the picture? Where was this going?
Yeah.
And so that was a fascinating part of the whole journey for me. And it was a journey of learning. I did an enormous amount of reading and, the latest research and a lot of different things. I talked to hundreds of people. What I like to say is my book is grounded in qualitative research, not quantitative, because I didn't do any lab tests or quantitative, how many points higher is it now than it was yesterday?
Well, there's a lot of that out there, Susanne. There's tons of data,
Everybody, yeah. So I talked to people and I made notes and I kept stories. And again, those are the backbone of much of what I say. And I would look at them for the patterns that I found in what other people were experiencing and what I was experiencing.
Yeah.
So just as a quick little aside, when I did my doctoral studies, I studied the relationship of children's play to academic learning, because I'd always believed that play was the way children learned that which no one could teach them.
Right. Yeah.
And I still believe that. And we still don't get it. And we still don't treat our young children as if that is true. We just here in Ontario recently had I'm going to use the word ignorant Minister of Education announce that with great pride that we were going to be having more testing for young children in math. You see, we have to get
STEM
anyway, that's another day's discussion.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into this. And then when the pandemic came and I was sitting alone in my study at home, I had come to a point where I was so amazed at how much I had begun to change.
Mm.
And I had, for the first time in my whole life, been able to look at myself in the mirror and say, you know what? You are beautiful. I've
Oh.
never thought of myself as that. I've always thought of myself as the ugly duckling, the wallflower person. I never thought of myself as being strong. And when I looked back and I thought, how could I have missed this?
Is
I
that,
mean,
Susanne, can I interject? Is that something that you believed as a child, or was someone telling you that, or was that just something innate in you?
well, I think about those things because I certainly knew I was loved by my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, my dad worshiped me when I was little. But there were issues, and there were serious issues in my family. And there were serious issues with me and my siblings, I believe,
Yeah.
that I never saw. My husband did, but I never did.
Mm.
So it's where it comes from, I certainly can't tell you, but maybe in time I would be able to. But right now I'm still at a place where I wonder about that. But
Yeah.
having said that, what I know is it colored my whole adult life.
Wow.
Those two things, the image that I had of myself and my abilities. I knew I was bright. I knew I had talents, but somehow it wasn't being manifested the way it ought to be.
So you said that you went through an interrogation of self, a self-inquiry during your healing journey.
I'm still going through
And you're
that.
still doing, and we all do, right?
Well, we do and we don't. We do and we don't. We have all this chatter in our minds where we're taking ourselves apart, and very critically.
Right.
One of the key things that I learned through my interrogation and my work is that we need to be not looking in our rearview mirror and deciding all the things that we need to fix. We should be looking at what's the best? When am I at my best? When do I enjoy my life? When do I actually have a real deep belly laugh? You know, and we don't. What we're doing, we're interrogating ourselves, but not in a constructive way. And that again is what my book offers, because with every single chapter, I have something called taking action. It's one thing to listen to this and say, oh yeah, I agree with that. It's a very different thing to do it.
Yeah.
It isn't easy. It isn't easy.
Talking about it and doing it are two different things. They're on opposite sides. Yeah.
I'm in the process right now of just finalizing a supplement to my book where I've taken all those taking action parts and I've expanded them and making them stand alone as transformational journals. And I have two now that I'm almost finished. The one is self-understanding, because that's where it starts. That's where healing starts, is when you can't heal something you don't know is broken, right?
Right.
And we avoid that. We have buried that so deeply. We don't think there's anything broken. Nothing wrong with me. I'm just fine. Look at how successful I am. Look at, I've got 3 cars in my driveway,
Right.
not just 2 like the rest of the neighbors, right?
Right.
No, it's that honest self-inquiry of looking inward and saying, who am I? What am I best at? Because that's what I'm going to build on, not on what went on yesterday or 50 years ago.
What part of your journey did you flip that switch inside of you? And did you listen to somebody or read a book, or was this just innate? Like you just intuitively felt that you had to go inward? I'm just curious.
It's all of that. It's all of that. And I think for each one of us, the journey is different.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to any mental health professionals, whether it was a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist or anything. I did everything for myself. And I know that people can't always do that, but I was able to. And it was all of those things. It would be one of the people whose work I love is Carolyn Mace. I don't know if you know
yes.
her.
It's so interesting you bring her up, Susanne. I was thinking about our conversation, and I was thinking of Carolyn Mace's ability to see as an intuitive, the emotional blocks and she sees them as light channels or something in the organs, and then she stops. So funny you bring that up. I literally was thinking this morning.
Do you know that she wrote a beautiful testimonial for my book?
Oh, did she? That's amazing. She's wonderful.
I was so shocked. But her, I don't want to get carried away with Carolyn, but what I would do is something would trigger in me a thought, and I would put it inside me. And I was doing meditation every day, as I do meditation, not as I had believed meditation was in the old days of the saints that I worshipped at that time,
right?
But as a way of reflecting from that deep part of self. And one of the images that I carry with me and has sustained me through what has been a very frustrating process of writing a book about this and then trying to get anybody interested in it.
Yes.
When I say anybody, I mean publishers and audiences. But one of the first moments for me, and I'll never forget it, I was having a raindrop treatment, which is an energetic, tied to an energy practice. It's a massage using essential oils. Mm-hmm. I had a wonderful person who was very instrumental at that time in helping me through this journey. And she and I have gone somewhat separate ways now, but we're still very good friends, and we share the dream of what's ahead. But I had one of those treatments, and afterwards I used to lie on the massage bed and be quiet and still. Mm-hmm. And I saw within me that little candle flame that was beginning to open. And I thought, all my life that's been there, but it hasn't been opened for a very long time.
Ah, what a wonderful experience.
And you see, so there were moments like that. But it's not a today this happens and tomorrow that happens. There's nothing like that. It's a process.
Right.
And sometimes it goes off in a crazy direction, and then we have to bring ourselves back. Sometimes, I tried many different things and didn't get much help from them, but I tried them and I understood why or why not. And I think another huge step for me was whenever the realization came to me that when I got pain or illness or something struck me, I wasn't saying, how do I get rid of it? I was saying, what is it teaching me?
Right.
That has had more effect on helping me to feel better than I did 30 years ago than just about anything else. It's not, and we need to be clear that there's a very big difference between healing and getting a cure.
Yes. Well, sorry to interrupt you, Susanne, but can I interject for a second? You bring up something interesting about a symptom like you're having pain. Most of us are pushing it away, resisting it, running to the doctor, getting a pill to cover, whatever.
Yep.
But you're flipping the script and saying, no, what's the communication that this is bringing me? What can I learn from it? What is it telling me? And that's a beautiful way. And that's what you're talking about in your book, is about healing, about holistic healing. It's deeper than just the physical.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I moved from what I call, the mechanistic vision of medicine to a holistic view, where we look at the body, mind, and spirit are one of a piece. They aren't separate pieces. If we go to a mental health person, that has as much to do with our physical and our spiritual,
right?
But we will go to the mental health person. We will go to the doctor. But what happened to the spiritual? We've lost that totally in society. Nobody even wants to hear the word. And that is where the true self is, the essential self.
Well, and it's the foundation for healing, which is what you've discovered.
Yes,
and what
of course
sharing.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, of course it is.
And which is why we're talking today,
But it doesn't necessarily mean that it will all go away. And in fact, it's no different than the pharmaceuticals, which have totally taken over Western medicine.
Yeah.
You rarely go to a doctor that you don't come away with a prescription.
Right. No.
I can't even think of a time when I went to a doctor for anything that I didn't come away with a prescription.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, most of those prescriptions did more harm than good, if not, well, not all of them, maybe. I'd like to make it clear, though, and I do in the book, that I don't prescribe throwing out the wonderful advances of modern medicine. And I use my diabetes as a wonderful example. I'm now on an insulin pump because I was on prednisone so long, right? I had to. Diet and exercise weren't doing it anymore. I'm on an insulin pump. I have this I've just got a brand new one that has just come out. I have the best A1C, which is the 3-month test of your blood sugar, that I have had since 2005, just a month ago.
Yeah.
Like even the specialists can't believe it.
Yeah.
So I think that looking at healing as a process of bringing the pieces back together is the key. Now, a cure does not bring that inner peace.
Right.
You can have your broken leg healed, you can have whatever, but it doesn't bring that peace. You look at the other side of it, and I often use the example of Stephen Hawking, whose body was disastrous.
Right.
And he was passionate and alive and functioning till his last breath.
Yeah.
It's a very good example for us. If we think, well, if I could just get rid of this. I've had people say to me, well, I do that, but I can't get out of the chair. So, I'm just going to sit here and eat my chips and watch TV and wait to die, actually,
There's a lot of that. Well, you bring up a good point, because so many of us, especially younger people, we're all looking to the movement to perfect the body is like, I mean, I can't even believe all the stuff out there to not age, to not look a day older than you are. And I just kind of, I'm like, I look at people in their elder years and I think of elders as the wisdom keepers, or people that, with every wrinkle on your face tells a story, and here we are trying to get rid of all this, all the
of our
richness
stories
of life. Yeah. And the things you have to offer and share with us. I cherish that, but I think society as a whole is definitely a little nutso.
I write about that in the book, and the loss of respect for the wisdom of elders. I've just done a couple of blogs on that, actually, or articles, not blogs, articles on that. And I guess I've done a blog or two recently too on that, because it's very much front of mind for me. Does an old person like me have anything to offer in the age of AI? And to young people, no. The answer would be no. I mean, what would she know? But we've learned things in all these years.
Right.
And in all these journeys and in all these mistakes we've made.
Yeah.
But you see, and in one of the articles I just wrote, I talk about what you just were mentioning, this huge industry of keeping yourself looking young.
I know.
And we're seeing it in such disastrous ways with the use of Ozempic right now.
Oh, it's everywhere. Every time I turn on the television, Susanne.
Yeah, and you see, I'm on Ozempic, but I'm on a 0.05 or a 0.5, not 0.5. I'm on a 0.5, which is the lowest dose you can take, and I'm on it to help, and that's in part why my A1C was so good.
Mm-hmm.
But people who are taking it for weight loss, when they don't even need to lose weight half the time, it's huge amounts.
Oh, yeah.
With no idea of what it's doing.
No, and they're making a lot of money. Let's be
well. It's all about
real,
money,
right?
and
yeah.
that is the part for me. Our whole society. I was just thinking this morning of writing a letter to the editor of our major Canadian newspaper here in Toronto about when did education, health, and all these things become a business.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get The best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Struggling with weight loss? Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet is a clinically developed nutrition program designed to promote fat loss while protecting lean body mass. Developed at USC's Longevity Institute, it assists the body in entering a fasting-like state that helps reset metabolism and target visceral fat. In just 5 days, Prolon offers a science-backed approach to weight loss without extreme restriction or guesswork. Get 15% off plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe at prolonlife.com/now.
Oh, it's been going on a long time, hasn't it?
It has.
Just
It
gets worse.
has. But it's never been at the level it is now. Everything is money.
It is.
And we're in for a huge awakening one of these days, and it's starting now. So.
Oh yeah. Well, and they own the airwaves. I mean, every commercial is a pharmaceutical ad on any station you're listening to. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, that's just the way of it. But there is so much out there for people to dive into. I mean, the holistic health world is huge. The wellness industry is massive. And can you share a little bit in your age group, in your generation and the seniors that you know, what do you find? Are people into holistic health? Like, I know you guys come from a doctor generation. I'm just curious, like, how hard is that to get through to people that you know? What's your experience there?
I would have to say, I mean, I have people on both ends of the spectrum, and it is both ends of the spectrum, not in the middle. There's not much in the middle. There are people, I have one friend here in my building who loves the work I'm doing, who lives the work I'm doing. I'm going to do a video with her and
cool.
Because I'm starting a series of videos called Conversations with Susanne.
Ah.
And I want her to talk about exactly what you're saying. On the other hand, the vast majority of people, seniors that I meet, are very complimentary and they respect what I'm doing, but no thanks.
No thanks, right. I thought
no
so.
Thanks. Too much work. I'm past that. Oh, just let somebody look after me. I don't want that. Now, I will tell you, I did a video which is on my website, and it's also been on YouTube in different places, but the link to it is on my website. I had a friend living in this building who started teaching with me. In 1971, we met. She was a bit younger than me. And we were close friends for quite a few years, and then we lost track of each other. Our paths went different ways. I moved into this building and found out she was here. That's 4 years ago. Now, I just did a video with her in the last days of stage 4 cancer on the final journey, and it is beautiful.
And this is on your website?
Yes.
And SusanneEden.com, is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. And, she was somebody who lived what I talk about to the end. And she still was in control of her own life. She made her own decisions. And she's someone who gave so much to other people throughout her life. And it serves us well when we come to our last days, because who we've been is who we're going to be at that last stage.
Yeah.
And I talk in my book, if you haven't had a chance to get that far, but in the chapter on purpose, I talk about purpose being a two-sided coin. And the one side is becoming who you were meant to be. You can't live fully if you've cut off a lot of what you should be.
Right.
and you're living the life that somebody else expects you to live. The other side is service, leaving the world a better place for having been here. And I can't think of anybody I know who more typifies that than my friend Marilyn that I interviewed. It is so beautiful. We did the video in October. I tried to get her to do it in the summer. She wouldn't. She didn't feel comfortable. She thought, as women, we all think this, well, I mean, what would I have to offer?
Right.
But I knew she did. And it is a conversation like we're having now. It was not a scripted anything.
That's beautiful, because people who are, terminal cancer, it can go a lot of different ways, right? I mean, I've had family members go in grace, and I've had other people I know that fight it to the end, and they're angry.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing. And as you talk about, and we were talking about the fear of aging, right? What do you think you see in people approaching death? Is it really a fear of dying? The feeling of pain in the body, or like, what is that? What do you think it's really about? What is our fear of this body that we all know isn't getting out of here alive? It is going to deteriorate no matter how you try to perfect it. It is going to defy that. And then, like you said, it's that missing link inside that spirituality, that in touch with the self to bring grace.
Well, you see, we've lost all sense. I don't think I'm being dramatic here when I say, I think our society has lost all sense of a way of living after living.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came, again, I'm thinking of these moments in my journey that have changed me totally, when my thinking changed. It was when I came to understand that energy does not die, and we are made of energy. So what happens to it? And I think that the failure to look ahead is because of that grasping onto things.
Yes.
We don't want to let go of things.
Yeah.
We've worked so hard for these things. And that can mean physical things, and it can mean emotional things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's as much that, and it's also the loss of any understanding of what might be out there. And I come from a very traditional Catholic family of my time. My brother was a Franciscan priest who died when he was 29 in an accident. Wow. He was an amazing man. I'd love him to have had the opportunity for this journey, because he was much smarter than me. But the idea that, there's an old God sitting up there with his pencil in his hand and his notebook, keeping track of all the bad things we've done. And that was my image as a child,
Sure. Yeah.
But now I see it as that universal energy, and that we become part of that universal energy, and we don't know what it is.
Right.
My father, when he was just before he died, had about a month before he actually physically died, he had a near-death experience when he left his body. And he was able to describe that to me. It was incredible.
Do you want to share? What did he say? What
Well,
did he say it was like?
My dad was 76, and his mother, he lied about his age and went in the First World War at 17.
Wow.
And very shortly after he was there, he was injured with the mustard gas that they were using. And at that time, his mother died, who was 42. She had cancer, and he had not been told that she was sick. Oh. And when he got that message, how devastating it was, and he lived his whole life without her. When he had this experience, he was on the operating table, and the doctor came out and he said to me, we lost him, but we were able to bring him back. And then he was chuckling, and I thought, what is this? But he didn't say anything. So my dad said, he left his body and his mother was walking towards him.
Wow.
And the peace that he felt.
Oh, I can imagine.
That was the word that he kept saying to me, was peace. And then he said, suddenly I opened my eyes and I was back in the operating room. And this is what the doctors were laughing at. He looked around at them and said, oh, shit.
Oh no, I'm here.
Why did you do that to me?
Yeah.
But to have some, my dad was not somebody who talked about spirituality, but he embodied so much. I mean, he is very much what I am now,
Yeah.
like he embodied so much of these, but he was very much a man's man. He was a hunter. He was a fisherman. He loved the outdoors and gave me the gift of connection to nature. I haven't talked about that, but I live in a place where I walk among the trees and the ravine and a mill pond where all the waterfowl are. I love it. And that is, again, what sustains me in my journey, because it is hard.
Yeah. Well, can you share a little bit about what a day in the life of Susanne Eden is like now at 87? Give us some words of encouragement. What is your life like now?
Well, I want to say a couple of things. First of all, I'm in a better place than I've ever been. And I mean mentally, spiritually, and even physically.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean I'm not suffering. I have this multiple myalgia that has never left me in spite of 10 years of prednisone and all the other invasive stuff that went on. And nobody can ever give me a clear answer as to what causes it.
Yeah.
I do look at, I will tell you, food, exercise, and breathing are the mainstays of my life. Social is important, but I'm not a social butterfly. I have always been a person who had few seriously close friends. I have many people I love and many people who consider me their friend, but very few people will really know me.
Yeah.
I have other friends who have tons of friends they consider close friends, but I've never been like that. So a lot of my day is spent alone. A lot of my day is spent writing because that's my passion and that's what's making a difference. And in the long years that I've been working at this, there have been many, many months go by where there's no validation and you're writing something and it's hard and you want to get up and pitch the computer out the window and you think to yourself, does anybody read this?
I know. As a writer, that's a common thing. Yeah.
Yes. And so that strength, that courage to keep trying to do something, I don't know where that comes from. I consider that one of the gifts that I came with onto this planet was that ability to persist and keep going in the face of what seems impossible. I talk a lot about looking at possibilities. I use the image, and this is very much another. I have a lot of imagery in my book, and one of the ones that I love is when, for a long time, I saw my journey. This is maybe 3 years ago. For quite a few months, I would see myself as the pupa in the encased enclosure. And know that I had to break free, but didn't want to. I was afraid to. And I would see myself poking my head out and saying, oh no, I'm not for me, and coming back and poking my head out and coming back. And I was doing that all the time. And then finally I come out and I find myself, my wings are all scrunched up. I'm lying on the ground. I'm finished. And then the wings begin to move and flutter. And then eventually you're flying.
Yeah. I love that analogy.
And I love that image. And that was so much the image of this poor old person trying to do all this stuff by myself and wondering, where on earth am I going? And what's, who am I and where am I going?
Where am I going? Yeah. Well, that's beautiful, Susanne. I love that.
I use that in one of the chapters I open. I think it's a chapter on transformation where I talk about, do you imagine that caterpillar crawling along the ground imagines that he would ever be a butterfly?
No.
So we don't know who we're going to turn out to be.
Yeah, exactly. And I always wondered, is the caterpillar like going into that cocoon is probably terrified out of its mind?
Well, it completely disintegrates. It completely disintegrates. And in a sense, we do.
Yeah.
We have to let go of our, we could this is the whole book, but letting go of those paradigms, those old beliefs,
Yes.
is really tough because that's what gives us security.
It is. And you're talking about the power of the mind and its ability to hold on and the identity that we wrap ourselves around, right? When we attach to
Yeah.
different belief systems, we believe we're that. And we really, I think it's very easy to get lost in thinking we're the mind. And then
Yeah.
like you're talking about, it's something much deeper than that. So you have a part of your book, right? That's a journal, a transformative journal type thing. Can you
Well,
explain what that
I
is?
have a whole chapter on the transformational journal, and in each chapter there is a section called taking action. And what that is tied to the transformational journal. I started out, as many people are doing, with a gratitude journal, thinking of what's best in my life. Because the most important thing on this journey is changing how you think.
Right.
And so you want to get away from, and especially now with what's going on in our world, everything's going to hell in a handcart. There's no good people left in this world. Everybody's what? I hear this. I had somebody tell me this recently. Like, how can you write about that stuff when everything's going to hell, right? But it isn't.
It isn't. I'm like, that's
The
because
seasons are still changing.
Yeah.
I had the most beautiful experience a couple of nights ago. We had a beautiful night. The sunset was gorgeous over our little mill pond. And as I was just standing quietly reflecting, these pair of swans flew over the pond and came to rest.
Oh.
And the sight, if I'd had the proper type of camera to capture the look of those two swans against this beautiful rose-colored sky, it was breathtaking. That's what we have to, there is a wisdom in the universe.
Yes.
And because we are part of that energy of the universe, our bodies have that wisdom. We have that wisdom.
You're 100% right. And if people would just stop listening to the noise, and like you said, you're connecting with nature, which sounds like you do regularly.
Yeah, it's very much part of who I, and always has been.
Is that something you said
some of my earliest memories are the walks in the bush with my mom and my dad, and even going hunting with my dad when he would never shoot anything if I was with him because I would have made such a fuss.
Oh, I can imagine. That's traumatizing.
He'd be out looking for rabbits and this beautiful bunny would run across our path and I would be jumping up and down with delight. And so no way even fishing.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I didn't like him to catch a fish unless he threw it back in, which he did if I was with him.
Yeah. That's funny, Susanne. When I was a young girl, one of my first memories of that fishing, my grandmother was like to take us fishing, and she caught a fish and took it home, and she gutted it on the top of the sink. I was like, no way, I am never eating that. No, I'm not doing any of that. And that's so funny. Kids do see it that way, and somehow we get programmed to, accept it as we get older. Oh, well, what do you have any future aspirations to write more on this topic? Where do you see yourself going?
Well, several people have asked me if I write another book, and I say, no way, but you know what? I know myself. I've said that many times in my life. What I am doing are these two, maybe three, probably there will be a third one, complementary journals, where there will be place for people to do the writing and to reflect the questions and quotes that are important from my book and also from some of the people who've had a profound influence on my thinking. Because we don't ever do this alone. We are all part of a community. You and I are part of a community. What you've said to me this morning will resonate within me. I hope some of my words will resonate with you. So what I look ahead to is possibilities. Maybe there'll be something come up. Maybe there won't. Maybe my days are numbered. Maybe all I'll do is something like my dad did at the end of his life, where he reached out to other people in the continuous care and actually changed their lives in the last few months of his life. That story also is in my book. It's an incredible story of how someone who was finished, so to speak, And with my friend Marilyn, how she had the generosity of spirit to allow me to make this video, which is having an effect. I'm having so much feedback on that video of the two of us talking about death.
I bet you are.
So, you know, I don't know what the possibilities are, but I know there's possibilities. So that's it. And I am writing, I do my blog, and in this generation, it may be only the blogs that are going to reach people. People don't read books. They want something quick. They want something quick. But
I got to be honest, and you're coming from an educational background. I mean, I'm reading some books today and I'm like, where's the good writing?
Well, exactly. And the depth.
There. Yeah.
And the depth. Yeah.
The depth.
So,
yeah, people want bullet points and talking points, and they've made it that way, though, unfortunately, with this, you know, scrolling through the phone and 5-second little reels. Nobody can hold an attention span anymore. But I think, and tell me what you think of this, Susanne, because I feel this in my own self and my life, that there's going to be a return to connection, to depth, to seeking more than just videos and talking. Like, I do think there's going to come a tipping point where people are over it, you know, and they're kind of wanting the renaissance, if you will, of the arts and the imagery and the writing and things that really do make us live fully, right, as we're here.
Well, that you just said better than I could what I think.
Oh no, you've been speaking beautifully.
I do believe that, and I am convinced. When I talked about the wisdom that is there, that wisdom is there, and I believe that, and I think we will go through, as we do in our journey, some really tough times.
Yeah.
When we want to give up, when we think, oh my gosh, is this ever going to matter to anybody but me?
Yeah.
And we will. And I see it. I mean, when I look at the response to my podcasts, to the articles I've written, and I've been working with a marketing company. That's where you and I are connecting.
Yeah.
So they've provided me with so many opportunities, and I was determined to take advantage of them. So I did way more than I was expected to, because I wanted to make use of every minute and get the message out there. And I do think we are heading for something. Maybe not, certainly not in my lifetime, but I hope in yours. I think in my lifetime, I think we will come to the very difficult part still.
Yeah. Yeah.
We will overcome that. We always have as a species.
You're right. That's the thing. We always are changing and transforming. We're hit with very difficult times, collectively, culturally, and personally. It's just the way it is. Right?
Well, you mentioned Carolyn Mace a while ago. We talked about her, and she has some beautiful podcasts on, or YouTubes on this topic.
Yeah. She's amazing.
I love her. I've never met her, but I would love to. And I've never heard her personally.
You know, what an honor, though, that she wrote a foreword to or did she write a foreword to your book?
No, a testament.
A testimony.
I just asked her for a testimony.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, she's been around a long time. And
I'll tell you what she says. Healing from the inside offers anyone experiencing a health crisis that wondrous combination of truth and inspiration. This book is a treasure.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations, Susanne. Well, you're just such a light, and I can tell you're so strong, and you just inspire me to want to keep going. And I hope everybody listening can listen to your wisdom on how to, you know, live fully as you age, because it doesn't have to be, you know, like everything's going to get horrible. And you are clearly living in that positive light. So thank you so much for being here today. And do you want to share your website where everybody can find you one more time? And I will link it in the show notes also.
Yes, it's Susanne Eden, Susanne, Eden, Eden. So there's 2 N's and 2 E's.com. And that has the blogs and links to other things. And I want to leave you with just one last thought and your readers. You told me you were in your early 50s, I think.
Well, I'm 49. I'll be 50 in about 7 months. Yeah.
Are you not shaving off a couple of years there, are you?
I try to say, I'm shaving off 7 months or something.
What I want to say is that the potential is there for you to live another 50.
Mm.
You're only half there. What are you going to do with it?
I love that. You're going to make me think very deep about that now.
What are you going to do with that last half?
Well, let me answer your question real quick and then we'll sign off. But it's my intention to help as many people through their own journeys as possible. So having gone through, when you go through something personal like you have, I myself have gone through something extremely personal and probably will continue to do so. I just love sharing and being able to be honest and truthful with others and help them find their own way. So that's kind of where I stand, but I just wanted to thank you again, and I would love to have you back anytime. So it's
I would love to be back. I was just thinking, is there a way, because we have the same goals? And I think that those of us who get it need to support one another and need to work together to help others come to what we've had a blessing in receiving.
No, I think you're right. And there's always a reason we come together. So thank you for that. And yes, we can do it again.
I would love to come back. There's many, many aspects we haven't touched on. So thank you again. And I wish all your audience the same blessings that you and I have enjoyed.
Oh, thank you so much, Susanne. That's it for today's show. Thanks so much for listening. If it resonated, please share, follow, and drop a review with your takeaways. It really means a lot. Visit my website at livelikeeden.com to subscribe for weekly reminders and blogs, or sign up for a free 30-minute consult to explore one-on-one guidance sessions if you're really struggling in Awakening's darkness. Take my Awakening quiz to get a personal podcast playlist that meets you exactly where you're at. See you next week for another deep dive.
Coming up with a name for a podcast is tough. I'm Diane Ray, and when I wanted to launch a podcast to continue the conversations I was having on Hay House Radio and Unity Online Radio about spirituality, metaphysics, paranormal, mediumship, and more, I was convinced all the good names were taken. Then I remembered something Louise Hay used to say, the point of power is always in the present moment. So that's what I took for inspiration. I hope you can be present with me for these conversations on the mindbodyspirit.fm podcast network and wherever you get your podcast. Do you have a message that you want to share with the world? Now is the time to start that podcast. Share your expertise, inspire others, and build a community around your passion. mindbodyspirit.fm is the home for podcasters who want to make a difference and help others. Whether you're a seasoned professional or a complete newbie, we can help. Podcasting is a powerful platform to connect with like-minded individuals and share your gifts. Don't wait. Start your podcast today. If you're interested, email us at info@mindbodyspirit.fm.